Lewis, world champion!
So Stoff, here we are in the pit lane in Diriyah, and this is a good opportunity for us to take a little bit of a sit down and talk about your career in Formula E so far, because it has been a pretty good one, I think you'll agree, most recently with the championship.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the last year has been pretty good for me, so yeah.
So before we get into some of the key moments that have kind of made your career what it is so far, let's go back a little bit, because I think there's a good amount to talk to about your early years, both in karting, then into Formula Championships, going up to Formula One, because I think you've learned skills that transfer quite well to Formula E. Would you agree?
I would say so, yeah. I would say particularly driving in the wet, probably. During my go-kart times, I always was forced to drive on slicks in the wet, and it was just because the team wanted me to be able to be good in wet conditions or when conditions were changing. So they forced me to drive on slick tires, and then whenever they put the rain tires, everything suddenly feels amazing. So yeah, some good times from back then.
So then let's talk about that, because that is probably more relevant now in the Gen 3 era of Formula E than it ever has been in terms of grip, right? Knowing how to deal with these tyres and grip and wet weather. I mean, I'm sure you've got a good amount of experience now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in cars, it's always, tires is always a big topic, and I would definitely say in Gen 3, new Hankook tires, they're behaving quite different than what we've been used to in the last couple of years. So everyone is still figuring it out. But the fact that we only have one compound as well, so yeah, wet or dry, it's the same compound. The only thing we can adjust is tire pressures, and then it kind of, globally always comes down to the driving, let's say.
What would you say your time in Formula One helped you in terms of like a big FIA championship, the circus, travelling around the world and all things like that? What did it help you learn that you'd be able to transfer into Formula E?
I would definitely say the way how to operate within a team, how a big organization works. There's a lot of things that I was kind of able to take from Formula One and implement within the Formula E team. Because when I started, it was with HWA, and it was a brand new team with people that had no experience in Formula E. So it was good to kind of put a really solid structure in place with good procedures, and it's definitely something that I kind of got some good experience in Formula One from.
Nice. Okay, let's talk about that first season with HWA Race Lab then, because you're new to Formula E that season. The team's new as well. There's a lot to figure out. And there's one moment I want to focus on. Let's say the first big moment for you, Hong Kong, season 5. I've got it here.
I remember that.
Have a watch of this. This is your first pole position. Tell us how you're feeling on the day, how it all came to be.
Yeah, first pole. It was super wet actually in Hong Kong. Very tricky conditions, challenging, and yeah, I remember it was really our first highlight of the year. Let's say we struggled so much in the first couple of races. Had a lot of reliability issues, and then we came to Hong Kong. I think the car was obviously behaving quite well, and I really felt at home as well in those conditions. So it was our first pole position. I just remember coming back to the garage after and seeing the joy of everyone, really, being so happy and proud of what we just achieved in just the first season in Formula E as well. So yeah, that was a great day.
I remember that day quite significantly, because I remember talking to you in between practice and quali, and the rain was just starting, and I talked to a few different drivers. Everyone's like, a little bit nervous, not sure what to do, and I spoke to you and you were just excited. You were like, yeah, I'm in, I'm ready for this, like, watch what I can do, basically. All of that transferable skill from karting, from F1, from other championships, there you are in a car that probably wasn't giving you the performance that you wanted, but yeah, they're on pole position.
Yeah, it was a great achievement, obviously, and actually both cars were pretty strong back then. The race obviously didn't really go to plan, because we had actually abandoned. I think the drive shaft broke or something. So that was a bit of the down moment of the weekend. But it was still a really good achievement to have that so early on in the season. And I feel like from there we could kind of gradually start to build what ultimately became the Mercedes team afterwards.
There was definitely a few moments of frustration that season where the car just, something went wrong, or there's a breakage or retirement for whatever reason. But it did lead to a pretty good moment, which is the next thing we want to talk about, Rome.
Yeah.
Your first podium in Formula E. Let's just watch back that moment and remind me how it felt at the time and seeing how it all came to be.
a big fight in front, right? With Mitch and was it Andre?
There's a lot of drama
Yeah.
quite early on in the race.
I love Rome. Oh, that's the old Rome as well. Yeah, with the hairpin there.
You're just reminding yourself of how it went.
Huh?
You're reminding yourself of how it went.
I love Rome actually. It's one of my favorite circuits, and historically I've always done quite well there. Let's say, you know. So it was my first podium in Formula E. Again, super nice moment for the team as well, being a customer team at the time. And I remember the team was telling me the last couple of laps, like take care of the drive shaft. We might have some issues over the bumps and stuff. Don't take curbs, because I had a little bit of a gap to the guys behind, and we made it to the finish. But then the car broke down after the finish line, like literally 200 meters after the finish line. I think the car broke down. So yeah, that was quite lucky in a way.
Good job there wasn't one more lap.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's season 5, isn't it? So
Season 5,
Let's
yeah.
jump forward a season. You've had your first podium, you've had your pole position. Next season, you're with Mercedes EQ, and we get to the very end of what a quite frustrating season for you. A lot of unlucky moments, but ended pretty gloriously with your first win and a 1-2 for the team.
Yeah, definitely. It's a strange year as well. Obviously COVID year, so had a pretty big gap in the middle, and then obviously had this 6 races in 9 days or something in Berlin. We had a lot of ups and downs, some difficult moments, some pretty good races there as well actually, and good comebacks. But then to finish the very last race of the year with a 1-2 pole position, fastest lap as well, and actually got second in the championship that day as well. So yeah, that was a special moment, especially the first electric victory for Mercedes at the time.
Really, that's great. That's a great little addition. That moment must have felt extra special, because it wasn't just your first win, it wasn't just the 1-2, all the other championship positions. It was kind of the end of quite a long series of frustrations, right, with HWA and the Mercedes, to finally be like, I'm here, top step, this is where I should be, but I just have been unlucky up to now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I spent 2 years in Formula 1, or it had been a long time since I actually won a race, let's say, in Formula 1. I never had the opportunity. Then the first year with HWA was quite difficult and was really all about building the team, let's say. And then, yeah, when Mercedes came in fully, let's say, it really gave us the first real opportunity to fight for victories. And yeah, I think that was kind of a key moment, let's say, in Mercedes's era. That the rest after that is a lot of success. So yeah, that was good.
What did that do for you in terms of personal confidence in this championship?
I mean, it's a super good feeling to win again. It was something I really missed during my time in Formula 1 and the couple of years waiting after that. And it's never easy to manage that sometimes, because you've always been used to fight for victories and stand on the podium quite often, and then suddenly you don't have that opportunity. So to suddenly live that again is something you can't really feel it anywhere else. So it obviously brings a lot of confidence with it as well.
So I wanted to take you to a next moment now, because if I remember rightly, this next moment is one that potentially maybe wasn't as enjoyable, which is season 7.
London?
No, Rome. You and Nick had a little coming together.
Yes.
Towards the end of the race. You're both pushing. I think moments like that, as much as they're frustrating at the time, they do a lot for yourself and the team in terms of how you come back from them. Is that right?
Yeah.
So let's talk through that moment, just because it wasn't the best, but it does a lot in terms of the whole story. It's significant.
Yeah. No, I qualified on pole actually that day, and then I had a moment with Andre in turn 1, so I dropped back to 12th, 13th in the field or something. But I had really good pace that day, and then came back through the field, overtook Nick, and then there was Lucas in front that had a failure up the hill, so I had to avoid him. And then there was like a manhole cover or something that came up and launched me into the wall, and meant I collected Nick with me. So both cars DNF'd, and yeah, both cars were pretty heavily damaged, let's say. So that was not a good day.
What do you have to do after moments like that to then get yourself back into, you know, fighting spirit and have regain the confidence?
I think what we were really good at Mercedes is to kind of reset, forget what's happened, and really focus on the next target, let's say. And I mean, the good thing is we had another race the next day, which I managed to win. So that was, yeah, kind of the redemption, let's say, after the tough race on Saturday. I managed to get a really good Sunday.
A lot of drivers and a lot of championships have to wait at least a year for that redemption opportunity. You had to wait 24 hours.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Great, let's look at the next moment. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and assume that this next moment, it might be one of your career highlights for you.
Okay.
Can you figure out what I'm going to say? But I'm not talking about the championship, I'm talking about something before that helped you get there.
Monaco.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Talk us through that, because that was such a special day. You know, it's like a second home for you. It is your home, really.
Yeah, it's pretty much a home race.
Yeah.
I mean, Monaco, I don't really have to say much more. It's always like such an iconic event in whatever motorsport series you go there. It's got this special vibe around it, and yeah, to have won that race is I don't know. It's a feeling I've never really had, probably anywhere else. Let's say, you know, at home as well. I had a lot of family there, a lot of friends, a lot of fans actually came and watched the race there, and obviously it really helped me for the championship push as well.
And then I think a circuit like that with so much history in motorsport, any win there is going to feel extra special, and you could tell how much it meant to you just by probably one of my favourite bits of team radio at the end. We just won Monaco! Like, talk to us about that moment when you realised, you know, you'd done it.
Yeah, it was kind of a little bit, I wouldn't say pressure off my shoulders, but like the first part of the season, I was like, I had a few pole positions, I had quite a few podiums already, but I never managed to get the victory, and it was like, finally, you know, I've won a race now, and then to do it in Monaco as well is something extra special. So I think it was all that relief or something that came off my shoulders.
That season in particular, you know, the first win in Monaco, but there'd been a lot of good, consistent point scoring up until that point, and then from then on, it was almost like you were glued to the podium. You know, amazing run of form from then on in the season to get your first championship title. How was that, keeping that consistency? Because you were above and beyond most other drivers in the grid, keeping that consistency.
It was very challenging, especially, you know, mentally as well, to keep that focus, that you know, that drive to consistently have to deliver every weekend, every qualifying session, every race as well. To repeat those performances, let's say, but I had to, because the competition was so strong as well, with Mitch, Edo, Jeff, you know, being constantly the top 4 guys, let's say, and fighting it out weekend after weekend. So it was very enjoyable, to be honest. You know, I enjoyed it, and I just remember, you know, when I won the championship, all the pressure coming off, like, oh, finally, we've done it. You know, I'm ready for a break now.
So consistency is something that is very hard to achieve in Formula E. You know, it takes a lot, because the championship, like you said, is so competitive, the cars are so difficult to drive, the circuits are so unforgiving. What is the secret to be able to do that, you know, week in, week out?
I mean, to be honest, I don't really know myself what the secret is, but I think generally when I've, you know, been fighting for championships, I've always been kind of quite consistent in what I've been doing. But then it's really about the work you do with your team. They have to kind of you know, give you a package that you're able to fight with pretty much every weekend. And sometimes that means maybe not always having the optimal car, but something you're kind of happy with and you can deal with and maximize the result of that. So it's always a fine balance to make. I feel like especially now with Gen 3, it's all new. Everyone is still finding their feet with where to put the car setup, where to put all the settings, and it's probably going to take a little bit for everyone to get used to that.
So now, go back to that moment. The championship title is yours. You're in Seoul. You're in the middle of that massive stadium. Everything's come around in the perfect way. But the journey there was so interesting, because you went from, you know, feeling good but not having the car to support you, having the car but then having bad luck, to finally having everything line up and get that championship title. Did it feel like that when you won?
It did a bit, to be honest, yeah, because I felt like season 7, it was a bit of a crazy season, obviously, with, you know, 17 drivers still able to win the championship in the last round. But you know, I felt like I could have won the championship probably that year if it wasn't for a little bit of bad luck during during 1 or 2 races in the season. And then, yeah, kind of season 8, I feel like everything pretty much fell together. You know, I didn't really have bad luck, let's say. We weren't always the most competitive as well, but I was always there. And yeah, I felt like everything kind of fell into one piece, let's say.
Love it. Now, some people might say that once you win your first title in a championship, it's job done, but I get the impression that's not the case with you.
I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way. You know, it's not like I'm gonna sit back and relax now. Like I don't feel like that. You know, it's great to have won the championship, but in motorsports, or well, in sport in general, actually, you have to prove yourself every time again, and that's what I feel like I want to do, and I have to do.
New team, new car, new challenges, and I've got a feeling that we could see a lot more of you this season. Stoff, thanks for the chat.
I hope so. Thank you.
More to come, I'm sure.